There are going to be a few changes that you'll need to know about leveling and economy in set 8, and today we're going to go over all of the basics from standard leveling to 1 cost, 2 cost, and 3 cost reroll, along with how to use each and every leveling augment. Improving your leveling and economy management is essentially the easiest way to improve in Teamfight Tactics. And of course, once you memorize the basic leveling and economy patterns, you can move on to more advanced things and know when to break the rules. So the first decision point, no matter what leveling strategy you are using, is going to be for level 4. You automatically reach level 3 at the end of the stage 1 minion rounds. So at stage 2-1, that's where you decide whether you are going to go for level 4 or stay level 3. So we're going to cover standard leveling first. So when you are doing this, you want to level up to level 4 if you think you can win streak, or if you already have 1 cost 2 stars. A rookie mistake I often see is people leveling up to level 4 without having any 2-star 1 cost units. In case you did not know, when you level up, you actually change the odds of certain units showing up in your shop. So typically, more expensive units will show up the higher level that you are. So this is one of those weird cases where you don't actually want to level up because 2-star 1 cost units are crucial for your stage 2 early game. And the act of leveling up to level 4 too early can cost you a lot of wins during stage 2. But typically, if you want a win streak, level up to level 4 on stage 2-1 because you get to field an extra unit. This also typically means that you do have those 2-star 1 cost units to help you win in the early rounds. The other time you typically want to level up to level 4 is on stage 2-3, and this happens naturally because you gain 2 experience every single round no matter what. And I typically do this if I'm going more for a lose streak strategy, if I want to make more interest from my economy. Every 10 gold, you get 1 bonus gold in interest every single round. And this stacks up to 5 gold if you have 50 gold in your bank. Now that we've covered like 95% of the times of where you'll reach level 4, there is this one exception where I reach level 4 on stage 2-2, and this is typically if I think I'm actually going for a lose streak on 2-1, so I don't level up. Then the next round happens, I see my new shop and I get a bunch of upgrades, and then I'm like, hey, maybe I can win streak now. That's typically when I would level up to level 4 on stage 2-2. By the way, I know I'm saying all these weird stage numbers. You can check out what round you're at if you look at the top of your screen when you're in the game. But the long story short of it is that there are 7 rounds every stage. Now let's move on to level 5. So level 5's a little weird. Usually, maybe like 60% of the time, I'll level up to level 5 on stage 2-5, and this is right after the carousel round during stage 2. And this is, again, if you're win streaking, that's typically when you want to go to level 5 at this point. So if you went to level 4 at stage 2-1, you typically go to level 5 at stage 2-5. If you're doing a big lose streak, you'll want to level up to level 5 on stage 3-1, and that is the first round of stage 3 right after the neutral round. And then there are 2 weird places where you can level up to level 5. So first one is a bit easy. So sometimes you can die to the Krugs on 2-7. You really want to make sure that you don't die to those because you just lose a bunch of loot and you lose some health. So sometimes if your board is 4 1-star units, maybe not the best synergies and no good items, you're probably going to die to Krug. So in those cases, you'd level up to level 5 just to beat that round. Lastly, there's a very important time that you could level up to stage 5, and that is at stage 2-3. If you need to guarantee a win streak no matter what, you already know in that early game you're winning no matter what, and there are a bunch of other strong boards, you can level up to level 5 on stage 2-3 and surprise a lot of people with a big power spike. Oftentimes, no one else will be level 5 at this stage, so you're almost guaranteed to be stronger as long as your items and units are any bit decent. Moving on to level 6, this is where things get a little more interesting. So starting from level 6, I like to level up if I can keep at least 30 gold in my bank. Typically, this is going to happen for level 6 at stage 3-2. And sometimes at this point, I like to roll a bit if I have a lot of pairs, maybe 10 to 20 gold depending on my health and how many pairs I have on my bench. You may have noticed we have not talked about rolling yet, and I typically do not roll until I am at least level 6 when I'm doing standard leveling. Sometimes I don't even roll till I hit level 8, but we're going to go into each case and why. I'd say for like 90% of my games, I am going to be level 6 at stage 3-2, but the other 2 times where you can deviate from this pattern is if you're going on a super loose streak, you can level up at stage 3-5. This is extremely rare. Or you could level up earlier on stage 3-1 if you're trying to guarantee a big win streak. So if you won every single game during stage 2 and you know you can continue that streak, level up to level 6 on stage 3-1 to almost guarantee that win. You may lose 1 or 2 gold of interest, but guaranteeing the 3 gold win streak bonus and the 1 gold win bonus can often be a very good trade-off. Next, let's talk about level 7. Same rules as level 6, you want to keep at least 30 plus gold whenever you level up to level 7, and this can happen during stage 3-5, 4-1, or 4-2. Typically, I'm going to be doing it at 4-1, but if I'm really rich that game, if I got like a nice economy augment early on, or maybe I did perfect loss streak or perfect win streak, I would reach level 7 at stage 3-5. Rolling is going to be a little bit different though. It's highly dependent on what type of team composition you're playing. If you're playing a team composition that revolves around a lot of 3 costs and 2 costs to stabilize your mid game, and maybe you only need like a 1-star copy of your 4 cost, you would generally roll a lot during level 7. However, if you're more reliant on getting a 2-star 4 cost or even a 1-star legendary, you'd mainly be rolling more towards level 8 and saving up your gold at level 7 instead. So you may be wondering like which comps do what? Well, I do update a tier list on my website, bunnymuffins.lol/meta, where I tell you for each and every comp what levels I like to roll at. Another thing to keep in mind is knowing when to break the rules, and sometimes if you're really low HP or if you have a ton of pairs on your bench, let's say you have like 4 pairs, I would definitely roll a bit on level 7 no matter what comp you're playing, or alternatively if you're super low health. Next, let's go into level 8. The same rule from before applies. If you still have 30 gold left over after leveling, you always want to go up to level 8. Typically for me, this happens at stage 4-5, 5-1, or 5-2, depending on how my economy is going that game and how much I rolled at level 6 and 7. And for most team compositions where you're doing standard leveling, you're focusing more on 4 costs and legendary carries. So you'd usually roll 30 to 50 gold on level 8 unless your whole board is already 2-starred or if you have 80 or above health. Another thing I want to mention is that a lot of people talk about fast 8 strategies, and this is going to typically happen at stage 4-2 if you did not roll at all during the entire game, and if you had a high econ the entire time as well. You typically reach level 8 on stage 4-2 with a bunch of gold to roll down with. And now finally for the last level, we have level 9. You don't always need to reach level 9, and staying level 8 versus going level 9 is a highly debated topic and probably deserves a video on its own. But as a brief summary of whether to go level 9 or stay level 8, if you need to field an extra unit for a specific synergy, definitely go level 9, and you sometimes don't even need to roll at that level. The other time you want to go level 9 is if you need to get legendary units and if you have a lot of gold. For almost all other cases, you generally want to stay level 8 until your entire board is fully upgraded. And sometimes on level 8, you could even chase 3-star 3-cost units or 3-star 4-cost units. Whenever you do hit level 9 though, you typically want to roll all your gold unless you're doing something super specific, because once you reach level 9, there's not really much after that, so you want to be spending your gold to get an immediate power spike. For hitting level 9, there are a couple of different stages that I typically hit it at. Normally, it's going to be either stage 5-5 or 6-1. These are going to be in most of your games unless you do some wacky economy management, such as never spending your gold or rolling a lot of gold. So if you do like an average amount, you're typically going to hit level 9 at around these 2 stages. If you're doing a very fast 9 strategy, sometimes you could hit level 9 on stage 5-1 or 5-2. That's if you did not roll at all pretty much the entire game. Lastly, if you rolled a lot on level 8 to get a bunch of different upgrades and you just need level 9 for that 1 extra unit to activate a specific synergy or to add a random legendary unit to your team, typically you'd hit that on stage 6-2 or 6-5. Now you may have been wondering, what has changed between set 8 and set 7 for standard leveling? The biggest change I think is the removal of the treasure dragon. The treasure dragon gave a lot of gold most of the time, and it also did not give you 2 passive experience at the end of the round. So that does change the leveling timings a little bit. You can get what's called like a clean level up every second round of every stage instead of the first one, which was how it was in set 7 because of the treasure dragon. So that's one change to keep in mind as we move on into the new set. Now that we did standard leveling, let's go over all the rerolls. I'm going to start first with 3-cost reroll because that is most similar to standard leveling. Essentially, you'd be playing the same during most of the game. If you're win streaking, you want to level up to 4 at stage 2-1, level 5 at 2-5, level 6 at 3-2, and then level 7 at 4-1. And then after that, you'd start what's called a slow roll, which is essentially rolling down to 50 gold every single turn in order to hit the desired units that you want. For example, if you wanted to do a LeBlanc reroll in an admin hacker spellslinger comp, LeBlanc is a 3-cost unit, which means that the highest odds for getting her is at level 7 and level 8. The reason why we slow roll for her at level 7 is because it costs a lot of gold to get to level 8, so we'd rather use that gold on finding her 3-star copies before reaching level 8. Leveling up to level 8 and 9 is gonna really depend on how fast you hit your desired 3-star unit. Generally though, level 8 is gonna happen sometime during stage 5, worst case sometimes during stage 6, and then lastly for level 9, probably around stage 6 if you're even reaching that point at all. You generally want a big economy, so sometimes the lose streak start of leveling up to level 4 on stage 2-3 and level 5 on 3-1 definitely is valid. Next, let's go over 2-cost reroll. So if you want to go for something like a Yuumi reroll, Sivir reroll, Yasuo reroll, you're going to be wanting to get an extra boost in your economy because you really need a power spike during the early mid game. So with that in mind, we're going to be leaning more towards the lose streak strategy that we talked about during standard leveling. I like to hit level 4 on stage 2-3, level 5 on 3-1, and then level 6 at 3-2 or 3-5, depending on how much gold I have. You only want to reach level 6 if you can keep above 50 gold and start slow rolling at that level. Again, level 6 is the best level for 2-cost rerolls because if you look down at the chart here, 2-cost units are 40% hit rate at level 6, which is the highest at all levels. If you want to reference this guide later on in life, go on over to my website at bunnymuffins.lol/TFT-leveling-guide, or just go to any page and click the leveling button up here. Leveling up beyond level 6 is going to have the same rules as 3-cost reroll. You just level up once you hit your desired 3-star unit, and you pretty much just go from there. Lastly, let's go over 1-cost reroll. This one is probably the simplest reroll to do because it's very, very static in terms of your leveling and economy patterns. Since you want to go for a 1-cost unit, you generally do not want to touch your level up button until after you hit your 3-star 1-cost unit. So we're going to be typically doing a lose streak start, never leveling up, reaching level 5 at around stage 3-2. So you may be wondering, during 2-cost reroll and 3-cost reroll, we rolled at the level which gave us the highest chance of getting that desired unit. For 1-cost units, it's a little bit trickier because the highest chances for getting 1-cost units are at levels 1 and 2. Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of gold there, so the sweet spot is going to be at either level 4 or level 5. If you do not press your level up button at all, you naturally level up to level 5 at stage 3-2. So if you have a ton of copies of your desired unit at level 4 at stage 3-1, you can do what's called a hyper roll. This is rolling down all your gold to 0 until you hit your 3-star unit. Generally, the rule is if you have 6 or more copies, you can do a hyper roll at stage 3-1. The general math is that you get around 1 of your desired units for every 10 gold rolled. So if you have 6 copies of your unit, you generally only need to roll around 30 gold to hit the 3-star. If you're not so lucky and you don't have that many copies of your units, you could again do what's called a slow roll. You'd reach level 5 naturally at stage 3-2, and then you'd roll down to 50 gold every single turn until you either need to all in or just hit it naturally. If I have 7 or more copies of my unit during level 5, I pretty much always all in, but at 6 copies, that's when I start thinking about all-inning, keeping my health total in mind. If I'm very low that game, I definitely want to all in a bit earlier than I would like to. How you level beyond that is going to be highly composition dependent. Some 1-cost rerolls depend a lot upon synergies. Some only really need the core unit, so that's really going to depend on your game. And again, check out the meta snapshot at bunnymuffins.lol/meta for more info on that. Now let's go over the augments. If you enjoy 3-cost reroll, there are 3 different augments that are really, really nice for that specific leveling pattern. And that is Wise Spending, March of Progress, and Cruel Pact. Wise Spending is really good because you typically roll a lot at level 7 and level 8, which gives you a ton of opportunities to find your 3-cost 3-star. March of Progress is pretty much a speed run to level 7 and 8, and it's very difficult to hit level 9, so that again is a very easy way to get a 3-cost 3-star unit. And then lastly, with Cruel Pact, you hit level 7 very early in the game. The way you play Cruel Pact is at stage 2-1, you want to level up to level 6, and then in the next round during stage 2-2, you want to level up to level 7, and then pretty much go from there. You'll have a ton of gold at level 7 to roll for any of your desired 3-cost units with any of these 3 augments. The next augment I want you guys to pay attention to is Think Fast. So before any single augment round, you need to be ready to roll down really fast on the off chance that you do get Think Fast. It's pretty much an auto take if you know what you're looking for. Next up, we have AFK. So AFK can give you a ton of gold early on. When you take AFK, you pretty much do nothing until after the carousel round. After that, you gain 20 bonus gold. Keep in mind, before taking AFK, you can make adjustments to your board from the augment selection menu before actually picking up the augment in case you want to switch out some units. Since you'll be getting a ton of gold, going for some sort of fast 8 or fast 9 strategy is pretty good with the AFK augment, or going for a reroll comp. These 2 strategies typically rely on having a ton of gold, whereas playing standard relies more on having a balance between HP and gold. Essentially, you could just take a look at any leveling pattern that we checked out before and just accelerate it and level up at the earlier stages. Next up, we have Late Game Specialist. Obviously, for Late Game Specialist, you want to do what's called a Fast 9 strategy, so just look at the standard leveling pattern and reach level 9 at either stage 5-1 or 5-2, and then roll it down after that. As long as you can survive with around like 20 or 30 HP up to that point, you should be in decent shape, assuming you could fill up a good board after that. Next up is Cluttered Mind and Clear Mind. You typically want to use Clear Mind until you could really stabilize sometime during level 6 or level 7. Sometimes that could even go on until level 8 if you don't lose too much HP. After that, you try not to pay that much attention to the augment because you already gained the biggest benefit from it before. Obviously, you want to clear out your entire bench so you get the experience bonus, but one little trick I like using is keeping duplicate copies of units on my board. That way you increase the chances of getting them upgraded. Next up is Cluttered Mind. So one mistake I see people making whenever they take Cluttered Mind is that they try to activate it right away during the very first rounds. This is often a rookie mistake because it's really hard to fill your entire bench. Instead, you could forego the augment for the first round and then try to activate it in the ones after that. The last augments I want to go over are the Hero Augments. The ones that give gold is Liga Draven, which gives you a 35% chance to gain 1 gold when he kills an enemy. Raider's Spoil, which gives you 1 gold every single round. Get Paid, which is for Gangplank, which gives you a 33% chance to gain 1 gold every time your team gets a kill. Make It Rain from Misfortune, where you get 20 gold every 3 player combats. And Delivery Tips from Sivir, where you have a 5% chance to gain 1 additional gold every second ability cast. Whenever you get one of these augments, you could definitely go for the more aggressive leveling patterns. For example, if you're doing standard leveling, you could level up at stage 2-1, 2-5, 3-1, 3-5, and maybe even 4-2 for level 8. If you're doing reroll comps when you get one of those augments, you can just simply reroll the extra gold and hopefully hit your unit a little bit earlier. That's gonna sum up most of the leveling patterns we have in set 8, along with all the ways to play around each and every augment. I'll have the full guide up on my website. Again, it's gonna be at the leveling link up here if you wanna check out the full guide. But I'll be coming out with a bunch more videos later this week, and if you are completely new to the game, don't forget to check out the complete beginner guide that I released earlier, and we'll be updating the meta snapshot every single Friday. But apart from that, that's it from me today. I hope to see you all later.